As one of Japan's medium-volume manufacturers, Mazda's corporate philosophy now centres around creating specialist cars for niches in the market. Their new sports cars, coupes, luxury saloons, and this, a fundamental revision of their mini saloon, clearly shows the way the company's designers are going. Well, this is the Mazda 121. Now, the original 121 was launched some 3 years ago. A rather angular little car with an uncharacteristically high roofline. Well, that's about the only thing that is carried over in this new model, because Mazda say this is the first car in the world that's specifically designed to operate in urban traffic conditions. Well, here we are in the situation that the little Mazda was created for. Obviously, it's a small car, so it's easy to slot through the traffic. But in fact, you can't see where the tip of the bonnet or the boot lid is from the driving seat. That makes it a bit difficult to precisely calculate the length of the car. That said, it's got a nice low waistline, very generous glass area all round, so visibility in heavy traffic is superb. It's got good steering locks, so in theory it should be easy to slot into tight parking spaces. However, it's difficult to judge exactly where the corners are, and you do need shoulder muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger. For something that's so strongly billed as a town car, there's some notable omissions from this Mazda. There's no power steering, and it's quite heavy at parking. You'd think with their knowledge of four-wheel steering, they'd build it in to make it more manoeuvrable. The aerial doesn't retract, and we all know what vandals do to these. There's no concealing flap for the radio or facility to take it with you. There's no side protection mouldings for doors flung open in car parks, and these painted bumpers, front and rear, are very susceptible to scratching.
It does look fairly squashed up, doesn't it? I mean, let's look at the back of it, shall we? I haven't seen the back. I actually like the shape.
You do?
I do, yes. It's a really good, I do. I think it's very impressive.
It's got a nice shape front.
Yeah.
Back. It'll be easy to park because there isn't much to the back of it.
That's right, yes. Very compact. Hasn't got power steering. Would you like power steering?
No.
Very different from anything you'll see on the road at the moment, obviously. I mean, most small cars are much squarer, so it's quite nice, actually, yes.
It's got no back. Just it looks like
it's been scrunched together.
But it's supposed to be easier to park.
Oh, is it?
A town car.
Oh, that might be better for me then.
It's certainly not anonymous. I've rarely driven something that attracted so many looks, both on the road and in town. In car parks, it seemed every other person wanted to come up to give their views on the extraordinary shape and to ask about its parentage. When I was a reporter on the local newspaper many years ago, we had a fleet of Morris Minors as staff cars. We used to affectionately refer to them as jelly moulds. Now, I don't know why, despite the smooth shape of the new Mazda, it does remind me of the old bastion of the British motor industry. Under the bonnet is a new engine from Mazda. It's a 1.3-litre unit, 16 valves, single-point fuel injection, developing 72 brake horsepower, and it runs on unleaded fuel, of course. Personally, I'm quite disappointed that Mazda, with their extensive knowledge of the rotary engine, haven't put a little single-chamber Wankel engine into this car. Now, from the outside, you'd think the car has a tiny boot, but once the lid hinges right up out of your way, it's quite a reasonable amount of space, quite a narrow aperture, though. The seats are hinged down, they're split both sides, and they've got a locking device to stop them being folded down from inside the car. A really exceptional amount of room in the back here, tremendous amount of headroom for a Japanese car, lots of leg and elbow room as well. Really very comfortable, and it's trimmed in very attractive fabric that they tell me was designed in Europe. Nicely laid out driving compartment, automatic transmission only in the UK, stereo radio mounted rather low down in the console, and very clear instruments with white numbers on a blue background. Interestingly, the driver's handbook refers to an electrically operated sunroof, which as yet Mazda have decided not to take in the UK. It's a strange omission for a town car. Of course, town cars don't spend all their lives crawling from jam to jam. They're sometimes allowed out to explore the highways and byways of the open countryside. So how does it cope with such an alien environment? Even though it's billed as an urban car, it's by no means out of place on the open road. Now, here on the motorway, it's a perfectly acceptable long-distance cruiser. It's quite comfortable, there's plenty of space for all the family. The noise levels are pretty good as well. It betrays its lack of sheer cubic inches by changing down from fourth to third whenever you want a bit of acceleration, and that includes trying to ascend motorway upgrades. But despite that, it's very easy to maintain fast-moving motorway traffic speeds. So to sum up, the Mazda 121 has excellent interior space, front and back, a most eye-catching shape and a very clever automatic gearbox. Steering's a bit heavy though, there's not a lot of protection from minor parking bumps and grazes, and while the boot is a good size, that opening is a bit narrow. The 121 runs on unleaded fuel because it's fitted with a catalyst as standard.